Hello. Ooh, I'm a little bit taller. There I am. So those of you that got up at 3, 4, and 5, how you doing? You still awake? You need coffee? It's going to be a long day, but I'm glad you're here. I'm Emily Reinert. I work here at Augsburg in the Career and Internship Services office, and I've been asked to talk about how to use LinkedIn in your job search. So I want to do the show of hands thing too. So how many of you have a LinkedIn profile? Awesome, a lot of you do. So of those that have a LinkedIn profile, how many of you are really confident you're using all the features? No? Nobody? A couple? Okay, good. So hopefully I can teach you something and that you can apply this to your job and internship search in the future. So I don't have a lot of time, so I'm actually going to skip through to some of the more interesting parts, I think. I'm not really going to talk about how to build a profile. LinkedIn does a really good job of walking you through that setup process. One thing I do want to mention is that I believe Microsoft recently acquired it, so they're going through an upgrade. They're getting a new look. So my account that I took some screenshots from has not been upgraded yet. So if you go and log into your LinkedIn account and you think, oh, it looks a little different, that's why. All of these features are still there. You just might find them in a different organization on the menu. When you're making your profile, 3 things that I do want to point out is it's great to have a really nice professional photo, and they're taking those here today, so take advantage of that if you can. The headline, so that sentence right under my name, that's your headline. And the default headline would say something like student at Augsburg College, or for mine would be my job title, so it would be assistant director at Augsburg College. That's not very descriptive, so I encourage you to make that a little unique because sometimes that's the only thing people will see in the search, so you really want that to stand out. And then the summary section, take some time, put some thought into that. This is your opportunity to really put your personality into your profile. Unlike a resume where you can't say I or speak in first person, you can on LinkedIn. So really talk about what your passions are, what your strengths are, and take some time on that section. So that's all I really wanted to talk about with the profile. The rest of it is a lot of your resume information that you can just plug into the different sections. So with the rest of the time here today, I want to take a look at 2 kind of common scenarios that I see when I'm working with students who are starting their job search. And so our first student here is a senior math major. She's not sure what she wants to do, but she's graduating soon, so she's feeling the pressure of figuring it all out. She likes statistics and working with data. She hasn't done much research on companies or industries, and she's feeling really overwhelmed and doesn't know where to start. Anybody relate to this? A few of you, yeah. This is really common. Maybe not the major for a lot of you, but for some of you it is. But just that overall feeling of, I'm so overwhelmed, I have so much going on, and I need to start my job search. How do I do that? So LinkedIn is just one way to help with this situation. So I would look over this scenario and say, okay, there's a lot of uncertainty here, but what do we know? Well, we know she likes statistics, so that's something to start on. So what I would do with her is to just do a broad search on statistics. And for you, I'd like you to think about an interest area of your own, so to think about what would you search on. And you'll notice that 3 categories come up. It'd be great to look at all 3 of these, but for this particular student, I think it would be helpful for her just to get a sense of what are some job titles for somebody that's working in and around statistics, and what are some of the companies that are hiring people to do that. That would really give her a good solid foundation to start her search on. So I searched on statistics, jobs in statistics, and it's kind of hard to read maybe, but these are just the first 3 of 37,000 results. We have a couple director positions, research program manager. It would be really helpful to go in there and just read about what do these job titles mean? What is the job description for that? Keeping in mind, though, that this student is feeling the pressure, looking for a job, and feeling very overwhelmed. I think if she was to click into some of these really high-level positions, she might feel a little frustrated, like, I'm not qualified for those. So what you can do on the left-hand side, there are filters, and I always like to start with a really broad search and then filter down from there. But with LinkedIn, you can click on entry level, and that filters out all of those kind of senior level and mid-level positions. So you can really see, what does an entry-level job look like? And so you're getting different companies, different job titles, and as she's kind of clicking through and reading some of these, she might find that the data scientist positions are really kind of what she wants to do. She just never had a name for it. So now, where she's going from feeling overwhelmed, I have no idea what I want to do, now she has a name for what she wants to do, and that can really help you with your job search. So you can go on to sites like minnesotaworks.net and click on, or use those as keywords for your search. You can use the job board here. You can use any number of ways to look for that. But having a name and some keywords really helps, and this is just one way to do that. So one more scenario. I have a junior physics major, math minor. He's thinking about grad school, possibly electrical engineering, wondering if working for a year or two would be better than just going straight into grad school, not quite sure what he wants to do there. He knows he's doing research this summer before his senior year, but he's not sure if he decides to work, should he do an internship next year, and he doesn't really know how to get started either. So can anybody relate to this one? See some nods, yeah. So this is a lot of questions here. So this is also kind of common of, you kind of have some ideas of what you want to do, not really sure about the timing of it all or what steps to take first. I think in this scenario, it'd be really helpful to know more information about graduate school. So if you can make a decision about, I'm going to go straight to graduate school, it's probably time to start picking those programs and applying. If he decides that he wants to work a little bit and then go to grad school, it's time to start looking for those internships. So I think for this student, it would be really helpful to talk to somebody that's kind of gone through this process. And LinkedIn has a great alumni tool that I want to show you. And so I apologize for how light this is. I just searched on Augsburg because I work at Augsburg, but you would search on your own school, and you'll note that a couple Augsburg colleges pop up. It says group underneath it. The one that says school underneath it, that's circled, that's going to be the tool that I'm talking about. So that's just something to look for. And so I actually did a search for Augsburg alumni that were physics majors that went to grad school and that are now working as electrical engineers. And so this is the alumni tool. So each school will have something like this. It'll look very similar. And you can use these little bar charts. You can filter down, you can use keywords. But really what it does is it collects all of the alumni that are using LinkedIn, and you can then sort through and look at their profiles and reach out to them. So on that search, I got a list of people that were physics majors that are now working as electrical engineers, and I pulled 2 profiles. I didn't ask their permission, so I hope that they're okay with me showing a big group of people their profiles. It's public information, so I think they'd be okay. But thank you, John. This is a real profile, so this is what I did yesterday. I was searching on all these things. Found out that he got his Bachelor's of Science in Physics from Augsburg in 2005. He went on to get a master's in systems engineering at St. Thomas. He graduated in 2013. He went on to work as an electrical engineer and then was promoted to senior electrical engineer at Medtronic, and he's still there right now. Wouldn't somebody like this be really helpful to talk to find out, like, I need some advice on figuring out grad school, and now you're working kind of in the area that I eventually want to get to? I think he might have some words of wisdom. So that was one. This is a second one that I found. Majored in both physics and math at Augsburg. Went on to get his master's and PhD in electrical engineering at the U. He actually interned at Medtronic his senior year at Augsburg, and he did research at the U of M during grad school and is now staff process development engineer at Cypress Semiconductor Corporation. So this is really fitting for the student that's wondering about, do I do an internship, do I work, do I go straight on to grad school? Talking to somebody like this would be really helpful. So I think so. More helpful than maybe going in and talking to somebody like me who doesn't really know much about engineering but can help you with your resume, but I can't really tell you the ins and outs of, in that field in particular, what's the best route to take and what good advice I would give you. So this is just two ways to use LinkedIn. Usually when I tell people about this, they're all excited, but then they get to the point of, oh wait, I have to reach out to somebody? How do I do that? That feels weird. Show of hands, would anybody feel kind of awkward doing this? Yeah, most people do. Really, there is that I showed you the alumni tool because there is that alumni connection. So you already have a connection to this person. You're majoring in the same thing at the same school, just a few years apart. And so they're very likely to want to help out another person that went through the same thing that they just went through. The worst thing that can happen is they don't respond. And that's not the end of the world. The best thing that can happen is they respond and they give you some really great advice. So my final thing I wanted to point out is when you reach out to somebody on LinkedIn, you really want to make sure that you personalize the message. So this is just the default that when you want to connect with someone, it just says, I'd like to add you to my professional network on LinkedIn, and then it signs your name. Every time you connect with somebody, I say try to personalize it in some way. So you don't have a lot of space, so that keeps it very concise, which is good. You want to be short and sweet to the point. And this is just a sample. It says, John, I'm a junior at Yale and found your profile on our LinkedIn group. I admire your career in graphic design, and I hope to pursue a similar path. Would you be willing to connect with me and possibly offer some advice by email or phone? I would greatly appreciate your time. Thank you. Very simple. That's really all there is to it. And they're very likely to respond and say, yeah, I'd love to talk about myself. Who doesn't love that? It's really flattering when you get a request like that. So then all you have to do is think about some questions. What do you want to know? And have a phone conversation or buy them coffee. And you can really, really benefit from that. So don't be afraid. Be brave. You'll get a lot of great information if you do it. So I sped through that really fast, but LinkedIn is super easy to use and pick up. It's really intuitive. So my advice to you is just go on there, make a profile, and play around with it because there's so much you can learn. Thank you.